Hey, this is Chadillac with the Cage Rage Podcast, and you are live with us. Welcome to the show. Guys, I'm way off camera. Probably should have had that fixed before we started. Sorry, guys. Hey, I'm here with fight analyst Miguel from down south, and from up north, Devin Miller. What's going on tonight, guys? We're talking UFC, right?
Yeah, it's going good, Chad. Out here on the road. I'm sitting in Pennsylvania right now. You got me in Pennsylvania, you in Indiana, and Miguel down there in Costa Rica. So we're hitting you from all over the continent right now.
We are a roving reporter on the road show. That makes us the real deal, folks.
Well, I used to live in Pennsylvania, and I did probably 60 MMA shows in Indiana. So taking a little bit of the Midwest down south with me here.
Where men are men and sheep are nervous. So, hey, we've got UFC 239 this weekend. On top of that, we've got Fight Week. So it's going to be a huge deal. They'll do some Hall of Fame stuff. Does Clay Guida does he make the Hall of Fame this weekend? Is that when they do the introduction, or I don't know how that works.
They didn't put Guida in the main event. They put that fight in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
Between Sanchez and Guida as one of the, I guess they have like a greatest fights section of the UFC Hall of Fame, and they inducted that. But I'm not sure that I think that it's already been done. If not, I don't know. I'm not sure when that's going to officially be made.
Okay, well, either way, Diego's fighting this weekend. I can't wait for that fight. I'm looking forward to that fight as much as any fight on the card. But let's start at the top. So, Devin, take us from the top. Bones Jones, what's going to happen? Talk to me about this fight.
Well, as reporters here, which we don't shy away from doing commentary and delving into conspiracies and hyperbole and all this sorts of stuff, but we do got to try to take emotion out when we talk about Jon Jones, because he is going to be a factor. There's a good chance we are going to have to be dealing with him for another decade. We've already dealt with him for a decade. He's still a pretty young man. He's still in his early 30s. So I think that we've got to get used to dealing with him to a degree. But this weekend it's kind of similar to what we just saw in his last title defense against Anthony Smith, where he's going to be a heavy favorite. We knew that pretty much right now. It's going to be that way with Jon Jones against anybody except for maybe DC or maybe like a Francis or a Stipe at heavyweight. But what I will say, and I'm working on editing a video that I'm going to release on this subject on Thiago Santos, since he is the big challenger this weekend, is I would say that he meets the criteria of the type of fighter that I would say has a chance. I don't think
I agree.
He's not technically anywhere near Jon Jones. He's not physically even as near Jon Jones. Jon Jones could make middleweight. Thiago Santos did fight at middleweight. But if there's something that you got to look at when you look at Thiago Santos, you got to look at, this is a guy who anybody's ever seen him fight, he's a sprint right out of the bat a lot of times. He puts a lot of pressure on guys. He's willing to take a lot of risks. He throws a lot of different techniques. And he doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger. And he's got a lot of power. You put that combination together of somebody that's known for throwing various techniques, has a lot of power, and isn't afraid to pull that trigger, you might have an issue with Jones. And I've always said that the only person that's going to be able to beat Jones is somebody that's not super orthodox, because he's got to be thrown off his rhythm. If he gets in a rhythm, he's going to light up everybody. I mean, nobody's going to come close. He's going to read their timing. He's going to be able to set them up for various techniques. He's a master at slowing the pace and getting people mesmerized and standing in front of him. That's why Anthony Smith was so frustrated with his performance, because he couldn't really do anything. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do that with Thiago Santos. I think he's going to have to fight, which could mean Santos goes out early, gets choked out, gets taken down. I think that's where he's going to be the most vulnerable, is if Jones gets on top of him. But I do think that he's going to look he doesn't have really anything to lose, and I think he's going to push the pace on Jones and really try to hit him with something hard. So a lot of other people have tried that same game plan, though. So
Miguel, Jones has stated publicly that he wishes he were more worried or concerned or nervous about this fight. Do you see this as being a weakness for Jones and the possibility that maybe he really isn't taking this seriously enough because he really does feel like he's that much better?
No, I think he's too smart. And at this point, he's been around long enough that I don't think summing it up with simplicities like that is enough here. I think what's going to come into play, I think, is if we're at the point in time where it's Jon Jones' turn, whether it be because of complacency or because Thiago Santos has a magic moment. The bottom line is he's a minus 600 favorite. That's massive. That's about half of what Anthony Joshua was to Andy Ruiz Jr. So we've recently seen an upset that would be, mathematically double the odds there already. So you have to say it's possible, right? I like what Santos brings in that he doesn't seem all that nerve, like there's something about the respect Jones gets before the fights, even with the Smith fight, they were both kind of respectful of each other and stuff like that. And that may have been the start of Smith's downfall right there, is just to played into the mind game, you know what I mean? And in this case, I don't think Santos has that much, Santos knows he's an underdog, but Santos is of the mindset where, he's going to try to kill anybody, you know what I mean, or try to beat anybody. It doesn't matter it's Jon Jones, he doesn't get as intimidated, I think the respect, I think he's bringing the right veneer to this fight. Like I think Devin made an accurate read that you got to say he's got a chance just because looking at everything, you got to give him credit for bringing as complete a package as you can. The problem is you're facing a wall there. You know what I mean? So what is Jones bringing? Yeah, maybe he's complacent, or maybe it's just his moment. He sticks his chin out and he gets caught.
Yeah, so okay, so we all kind of agree that
I have
Jones could get caught and get knocked out, right?
Well, I have one question. Which I mentioned the Andy Ruiz, so we can say that would be the knockout, right? So a knockout would obviously be a big surprise. But what about something like a possibility of something like Fabrizio Verdun did to Fedor, and that is catch him quick and get him out of there. Submit him if he makes. I mean, Jones doesn't make mistakes, right? But pull guard, catch a triangle, and who knows how it goes. Which do you think? Well, I think the puncher's chance is more likely here than the submitter's chance. I don't know if it's submitter's chance or what you say, but yeah, they're a little more. Santos has a little more options, but I don't know if that plays in his favor in this fight. I
mean, do you think Santos? I mean, the guy looks like a freaking human anatomy chart. He just looks with the hammer, the Thor hammer and all that. He looks really super, super strong. But when we see him standing face to face with Jones, all of that's going to change, and you're going to you're going to see that recede, and I think you're going to see, like you said, he has the right veneer, but I think that veneer is going to wear off really quickly when the bell rings, and he catches one of those inside thigh kicks, and Jones comes out there, Santos comes across hard, Jones just whack, and heel kicks him in the thigh one time, and stops, and then game over, and just like Devin said, the whole fight slows down then, and it's Jones's pace. He sets it and he does what he wants. I would love to see Jones get his head knocked off, but I don't see that as being the case. But I guess if anybody can do it, maybe this is the one.
One thing I will say about these two that is just very noticeably different between both of them, and that I really think is that next level, is, and I was talking to Amanda a little bit about this on our controversial Jon Bones Jones podcast, because I let her just lay into him with everything she had to say about him, and that's what I kind of wanted to bring out in it because I knew she would articulate it well. But one thing I did kind of get to manage to throw in there is that Jon Jones, between Jon Jones, GSP, and Mighty Mouse, are the three most fluid fighters I've ever seen. They're they're just so consistent. For 5 rounds, they do not slow down. They're constantly, even in the second Daniel Cormier fight, when Daniel did seem to start getting kind of off on him in those first couple rounds, and in the first Gus fight when Gus was really finding his range, Jones never took a minute off in that round. He was in that fight. He was still consistent. He was still attacking. He was still getting. I mean, it took him a little bit longer to get his rhythm, but once he does, man, and once he falls into that rhythm, he's just so. You could just tell that it's just he's got this pace that he's gonna set from the opening bell, and he can speed it up at times. He can slow it down at times. Thiago Santos, what worries me about him is he just knows forward. And what we did see against Jan Blachowicz in his last fight, a big knockout win, that is impressive with Santos. Santos can knock you out going backwards. He knocked Blachowicz out literally going backwards.
Yeah.
The thing is, Jon Jones is not going to go charging at him. Jon Jones is going to plant his strikes. He's going to find his range. And if Santos comes off overly aggressive, he's going to try to tie him up, a lot like he did Glover in their fight, where Jon Jones played a very heavy clinch game against a prime Glover, where he kept clinching him against the cage with those long arms and turning over nice elbows on the inside, almost dirty boxing with elbows and knees. It was very impressive. And he was able to just really break Glover down, and anytime they were at range, he picked him apart with his length and with his range that he does so well, attacking the body, attacking the knee with those teep kicks, attacks the body. He throws out good strikes to the head. He does those inside leg kicks. He'll come up high if you're not paying attention. He's a hard man to beat, man, and he's really hard to hit. He's really hard to. If he gets on top of you, you almost never get up. It's he's a mountain for anybody. That was a good way to put it, Chad. He's a mountain, but Thiago, I think, needs to come out strong and get that rhythm off quick and just stay in his face. But,
I don't think there's any other way.
There's not.
What other opportunity does he have? Is he going to stand outside of Jones and teep back and forth with him? I mean, see that's the thing with Jones that I think that's the most underrated thing that he does. People talk about, oh, Jones' striking is so precise. He's this mental chess player. His submissions are fantastic. He has the length so that his arms are so long that when he gets the guillotine in, it really crushes the windpipe. And none of that is really what wins Jones fights. What wins Jones fights is exactly what Devin said, was that he sets the pace, and he sets the pace with the teeth. He does that inside heel kick to his opponent's left, to his opponent's right thigh, usually, whack. And when he does that, he automatically slows the charge down. No matter how hard you're charging, no matter how hard you think you're going to come in and fast, he's going to whack. And when he does that, man, if Thiago comes in and he catches that and he knocks Jones back because he's just so strong and such a brute, then maybe we have something different. And he lays out a 5-piece against the cage when Jones kind of bounces against the cage and comes back and pop, 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 pop. And maybe Jones goes down and he's out. We could see that, but you sure as hell aren't going to see that in the rematch either way. So if Thiago, so let's do this. Santos, I don't think Santos wins, but if he does, we know that there's a rematch and Jones wins the rematch pretty much hands down, right? So let's do our pick. What are you guys calling on this fight? Give me a round and a style. What happens? Miguel, you go first.
I always take a wait and see attitude, just because every fight's got a couple of different paths it can go down. If Thiago's able to maybe get his attention in the first round, you might have a different fight than if he doesn't gain any respect and Jones is able to set the pace and do what he wants. So I do see that. But one thing I do think is if a shorter fight favors Thiago, the more you're in there with Jones, you may have power throughout 5 rounds. You may be able to, but the more you're in there with Jones, you're going to be taking punishment. You're going to be taking, attritive damage, and you're in a situation there in this case where they've already lined up face to face. It's one of those jobs where Jones is clearly looking down on him. You know what I mean? So he's bigger, and it's going to be. It's not. Santos is going to have a real hard time getting in, maybe not getting damage and getting out. So I could see it being a long fight. I don't think Jones is going to come in and try to take it out fast. I think he's accustomed now to dragging a fight out and making it longer. So we'll see. That may also play into Thiago's advantage. One mistake and there it goes. But I think Jones has been too precise. I think the fact is Thiago brings a nice complete package. But again, with the physicality and stuff like that, Jones. Yeah, it's hard to pick against Jones.
Yeah, Devin, what do you think?
I think Jones will drag this out a little bit. I think that Thiago will come out with kind of a frantic sprint-like pace, but I think that Jones will be too smart. I think he'll tie him up too much. I think that he'll keep his range too well. And I think as soon as this, I do think that Jones is going to be under some pressure. Not much, because he does what he wants to do, and he's proven so much already that I don't think he has really much to answer for, other than his outside the cage controversies. But I do think that he's going to want to get Thiago out of here because he didn't get Anthony out, and I think he kind of played with his food with Anthony too, because I think he really liked Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony was somebody that really gave him a lot of respect going in when a lot of people won't. But he got Gus out of there in 3 rounds, and I would argue Gus is a much more championship round style fighter than what Thiago Santos is. I'm not sure Thiago Santos is going to survive when he starts getting tired, when his movements, when he's not able to push forward, when he's getting backed up. I think that he's going to start caving in a little bit, and I'm going to go with Jones submitting him in the 3rd round with probably like a rear naked choke or just pounding him out maybe. I think he's going to get him to the ground. I think as soon as he wears him down, slows the pace, he'll take him to the ground kind of like he did Gus in the 2nd fight in the 3rd round, and then at that point, I don't think Thiago's going to get back up.
I'm going to go just a little bit different on this one and kind of throw caution to the wind. And I'm going to say that Jones takes him out in the 1st round via choke, because I think it's the kind of thing where Thiago could come in and he could rush and Jones could actually set that up, maybe even, rope-a-dope him just a little bit, bring him in, get him up against the cage, get his underhooks in, turn him, put the guillotine in, choke him out, and be done. And I think he would kind of like to do that just because I think he wants to show people I can finish you any way I want to, at any time I want to. And, yeah, maybe last time I took too long, and I want people to be really excited because this is fight weekend. I will say this, though. If there's anything that's going to beat Jones in this fight besides a really lucky punch, obviously, it's going to be a piss test after the fight.
What are the odds for that? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost more, or he should have lost more than. So anyways,
those odds are closer than Thiago Santos winning.
Yeah. So okay, so we move down to what could arguably be, and we don't know yet that it won't be actually, because let's face it, we don't know if Jones, if he has a dirty drop yet, and if he has a dirty drop in Nevada, they don't tolerate that, and so picograms with him, they could say peekaboo, picograms, you're out of here, you're not fighting, and in that case, Amanda Nunes moves up to the spot where I think she should probably be anyway, which is the main card. She's champ. She's done enormous things in the industry, but she's fighting Holly Holmes,